So how are you guys going to get from your strike and dip rock data to making a geologic map? Well, first you have to reference where north is on your map, and I've just drawn a very basic blank map here with north pointing north, and you're going to have to use a protractor. So you'll probably all have access to these 180-degree protractors, and you're going to work with it always lined up like this. So for strikes that are between 0 and 180, you're going to read between 0, which is north, around the outside of your protractor down to 180. For all the other ones, you're going to have to start with 360 degrees, subtract your strike that is greater than 180, and read back up on the inside circle. So for our first one, which is 252, we'll have to do 360 degrees minus 252, and then read up here. So that comes out to 108. So that means our strike line is going to be from the center of here to 108 degrees. So since that is the strike for site number 1, we have to make a point that we're going to measure from, and that point is going to line up with the center of your protractor. And then we'll read where 108 is, and then just draw a straight line. Don't connect the whole thing, that will be massive. And there's our strike line indicated on there. Relative to north, that's striking 252 degrees this way, or 108 this way. So we have to use the right-hand rule. Remember, strike is along the thumb, and dip then is along the fingers. So our dip will go on here, and that will show us where the strike direction actually is, which will be this way. And so our dip for site number 1 is 22 degrees, and that will get written on next to the dip line. So you're going to proceed through and indicate your strike and dip for all of them in the same way. So for site number 2, that's 76 degrees. I'll have to make a mark, and then we'll just read straight off down to here, 76 degrees. Right-hand rule, to turn my hand all the way around so my thumb is pointing this way, which means my fingers will be pointing down. So we'll mark that dip there, 18 degrees. Site 3, dipping 70. Do our starting, that's probably gonna come off the page. Make a new dot so that I can actually put it on the page. One more time. Mark our dip, which was 20. And site 4. 360 minus 248 equals 112. We'll read that one up the inside to 112. Right-hand rule this way. 25 degrees for the dip. So that's the strike and dip for our sites. You'll obviously want to make sure you're plotting yours closer to your points. My 3 and 4 are a little bit off because I am using a tiny scrap of paper. Let's say 5 is representing a blob shape. So if we can see that whole blob shape, then we can keep that, color that in one single piece. That's all this gabbro. And then you want to estimate where your contacts are between samples 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we have sample 1 is a shale. And so is sample 3. Sample 4 is breccia, and so is sample 2. So you now have to figure out how you're going to map these things together. One possibility is that 1 and 3 are the same rock, and 2 and 4 are 2 different layers. And the other possibility is that 2 and 4 are the same rock, and 1 and 3 are different layers. So one thing you need to use as reference are these strike lines. The strike lines should be approximately parallel to the contacts between the rocks. And your strike lines are all approximately going this way. So what that suggests is that 2 and 4 are part of the same rock unit, and 1 and 3 are different layers. You can see I've colored around the intrusion, and that's because that is an igneous rock, and igneous rocks intrude into other rocks. So its shape is its own shape and wouldn't correspond to the layers of the sedimentary rocks that make up the other rock units.